G'day Earthlings, Dr. Rank here, and welcome to Gaming Legends, the show that tries to put the hip in hypnosis. We've been fighting Dr. Neo Cortex on this channel for 18 months now, and he's only won half the time. So how about we throw Cortex in the trash and take on someone with a much higher success rate? Can you beat Kurasshu Bandikū 2 N-Tranced without spinning? But first, a minor update about the Kurasshu XS run. Turns out you can kill lab assistants on monkey bars without taking damage by dropping off and bouncing on their knees. This allows you to get the gold relic from Drip Drip Drip, bringing the total up to 16 relics and 81%. Also, I got a few comments on that video pointing out that, despite official statements to the contrary from its manufacturer, the Analog Pocket is technically an emulator. I stated in that video that I prefer to use official hardware for challenge runs, and whether the Analog Pocket qualifies is a little ambiguous. As far as I'm concerned though, if it can play an official release of the game without modification or piracy, and if it's endorsed by actual GBA game developers like the good people at WayForward, it's official hardware. I hope that explanation is satisfactory because God knows I'll be hearing about it if it isn't. Now back to N-Tranced. As usual, the spin attack is completely banned. The run is complete when we defeat N-Tranced, but as a bonus challenge, we'll be aiming for the highest possible completion percentage and the true ending. And finally, the use of save states is strictly prohibited. Without further ado, let the run begin. Island intro is a good starting point for our expectations. As usual, we can still break boxes by jumping on them or sliding into them. And unlike the prior games, Crash has the super belly flop and double jump unlocked from the start this time. This lets us easily get our first crystal and our first gem. Prince of Persia introduces our old nemesis, monkey bars, which prevent Crash from sliding while attached. This makes any boxes near them much harder to break. Fortunately, monkey bars in this game are basically upside down semi-solid platforms. If we can get above the bars, for example with a crouch double jump, we can land on the box from above and carry on. And if there happens to be a solid floor beneath the bars, we can just jump into the box from below. This level also houses the first gem shard, which are hidden in every on-foot level from this point forward. Finding all 4 gem shards of the same color will unlock new levels in the endgame. Getting the crystal from Prince of Persia also unlocks Globetrotting, which is played entirely with the Atmosphere. These levels are absolutely unforgivable nightmares, but only for moral reasons. Runaway Rug has more monkey bars, but these ones are even easier to deal with than the last ones. The Carpet Crate section is no more difficult than usual, just make sure you stop mashing B before it wears off. The last set of monkey bars does have some awkwardly placed scorpions, but we've got more than enough Aku Aku masks to deal with them. Lagoony Tunes is a wakeboarding level which technically doesn't have a spin button. It does, however, have these trick ramps that cause Crash to do a spin automatically when he jumps off them. Thankfully, all the boxes can be reached just by jumping normally at the standard speed. If you do happen to miss one, you can usually coax the shark into breaking them with its dorsal fin. There is a spinning animation when the level ends, but that's legally a cutscene, so it doesn't count. Pharaoh's Funhouse is a total pushover and also contains the first red gem shard, which is pretty much required for the box gem anyway. With 6 crystals under our belts, we can fight Evil Crunch the same way as a casual playthrough, unlocking the Super Slide. This power is performed by pressing the L and R buttons at the same time, and allows Crash to slide further and break through reinforced crates at the cost of a little control. Tiki Torture has an awkward crate stack right at the start. The gap between the Wumpa crates is too narrow for Crash to squeeze through, and the top one is too high to jump on. Thankfully, we can use a super belly flop to take out the bottom crate, widening the gap all the way to the floor. We also get the first blue gem shard on the way to the Nitro Switch crate. Hop in Coffins and Barrel Roll are super simple, granting us 2 more gems and 1 more gem shard. Flock Full of Seagulls is a bit harder since the turns required for the mid-air boxes are much sharper, but certainly not impossible. Magma Mania brings back the Copter Pack from Wrath of Cortex. In that game, the Copter Pack could only break boxes from below with its propeller, which proved problematic for gem collection. In N-Tranced, however, it's gotten a massive buff, now breaking boxes from any angle without needing to spin at all. The boss fight against Evil Coco is our first real roadblock. The fight uses the Culture Pack again, but its magical box breaking powers have no effect on her. Since there's no way to skip bosses in this game, you might assume we need 3 spins to beat her. But that assumption fails to account for the fact that the colorblind programmer at Vicarious Visions had finally been hired. If Crash has an Aku Aku mask, and only if he has an Aku Aku mask, he can damage Coco just by hovering over her hitbox when her shield is down. If you ever lose that mask though, the battle becomes unwinnable. I recommend grabbing 2 masks and saving your game before fighting Coco, giving you a bit of insurance and letting you load your save if you mess up. After just a handful of attempts, I managed to sink Coco's battleship and unlock the rocket jump. Run from the Sun is a Coco level which takes place in space. No spinning is present here, manual or otherwise. Mr. Lava Lava has some tricky boxes to break in the bonus round. The area is too cramped to reliably jump on them, and they're so low that we basically have to crouch to get under them. And apparently, Crash isn't legally allowed to crouch jump when there's a crate right above him. Luckily, we can belly flop one box on the return trip through this area, then do a normal jump into the other with perfect timing. Slip and slide in Sphinx is easy, but now its Istanbul is less so. This level introduces the rope climbing mechanic with several boxes on the ropes themselves. You can move directly horizontally from a rope by spinning, but that's obviously illegal, making this box at the top harder to break. And it's just barely too high up to reach from the ground, even with the rocket jump. Luckily, a well-timed belly flop does the trick. The Gem Shard path has a scorpion guarding its entrance that I wasn't able to get past, but we can access the path from the other end by belly flopping on the edge of the roof and jumping beside the nitros. The bonus round has some boxes between ropes that are a bit awkward, but we can jump into them from below if we damage boost through this nitro. There's a scorpion on a rope here that doesn't like to make our lives easy, but we can take it out by jumping on it from the nearby arrow crates. Waterlogged is the final wakeboarding level and also the easiest. There's only like 2 ramps in this whole thing. With 16 crystals in hand, we can take on the 3rd boss. Fake Crash mimics every action we do, which means he's doing a spinless run too. We are stuck on the left side of the arena, but there's more than enough hazards on the right side we can trick him into touching. We do get the tornado spin as our reward in quotation marks, but its presence isn't actively murdering us this time. Then we reach Rock the Kasaba. This level has ropes and monkey bars working in cahoots. We can jump on the scorpions on these bars, though the second one has a tendency to accidentally grab the edge. The ropes at the end are hard to navigate through safely, but with the proper timing and angle, you can jump on all the scorpions. The Gem Shard in this level is a tough one though, with monkey bar scorpions at both ends that are impossible to jump on. Your best bet is to go in from the exit with 2 masks, belly flop the first one, and damage boost through the next 2. Getting through the entire level without getting hit isn't exactly consistent, but we've got a backup plan. Belly flop and damage boost through the first 2 scorpions, then backtrack to the bonus round to set a checkpoint. Make sure you leave a few boxes intact to maintain a clear path to the exit. After that, just die a few times to get an extra mask and clean up the rest to reach the final green gem shard. Speaking of the bonus round...
This broke me. The dot over the I. That broke me. I'm done.
Squeezing through these 2 nitros is out of the question, but we can literally remove that problem by hitting the nitro switch first. What we can't remove though is this section. To even get past here, we need to slide all the way down the rope until Crash's hand is right on the knot, then jump from there and bonk the underside of the iron crates to grab the next rope. The position has to be perfect or you'll bonk the left side and miss the rope. But then, after all that, you still have to break these 2 boxes. I tried belly flopping them, but couldn't stick the landing. But There is a way. The colorblind programmer at Vicarious Visions was in charge of Crash's jumping hitbox. If we line up Crash's ears with the front edge of the lower box and jump from just the right pixel, we can hit the very edge of the question mark crate, break it, and live to tell the tale. There we go. Yes! Let's go! Oh! Boom! Oh! Yes! Oh! Woo! 109 out of 109. Oh! Special thanks to Tet W, the current any % world record holder and 101% runner-up, for finding this strategy. After that nightmare, we can relax with Spaced Out and Rocks Can Roll. But then Eruption Disruption causes an Eruption Disruption. The bonus round has this box that's just barely too close to the ceiling to reliably jump onto, and on too narrow a platform to hit with a belly flop. But turns out, if you double jump with absolutely perfect timing, you can still break the box and finish the bonus round. And then I forgot to get the copter crate in the gem shard path and had to do it a second time. After that, there's not much the game can throw at us. King 2 Uncommon has this one awkward stack, but it's nothing a belly flop can't fix. Honestly, the rest of the game should be smooth sailing.
Egg.
N-Tranced is pretty easy in Phase 1, just dodge his attacks and retaliate with anything. Phase 2, meanwhile, is done with the copter pack. You can only damage N-Tranced by pushing him to the bottom left corner of the arena, and spinning is the most effective pushing strategy. Fortunately, you can still push him just by, pushing him, albeit much more slowly and with much less control. You can get the most consistent direction if you approach N-Tranced from the top right. When he's about to attack, keep your distance to see what type of attack he's going to use. Only the small yellow orbs deal damage. The red and blue orbs just flip your controls and flood the screen with crash clones respectively. Once the attack is over, get above and to the right of him and keep pushing. It's definitely a test of endurance, but after about 10 minutes, we can cook him sunny side up and unlock the speed shoes. With Entropy running away like a little sissy baby, the Crash N-Tranced spinless run is officially conquered. But we're not done yet. Since we have all 12 gem shards, we can play 3 more levels, each of which contains a colored gem instead of a crystal. Firewalker is the easiest of these, with the only hard part being the jump from the Nitro Switch crate. It's intended to require the tornado spin, but a crouch double jump will just barely make it. Wild Nile Ride has these 4 nitros that can't be jumped over without the tornado spin, meaning this level requires exactly 1 damage boost. Good thing there's plenty of masks leading up to this point. The time trial is less forgiving, only providing 1 mask for the whole thing, but that 1 mask is all we need. The switch crate here also gave me a bit of trouble, but if you jump into it on the 4th bounce of the Wumpa crate, you can just barely break that crate before the iron fills in. 101 Arabian Kites is the final boss of Monkey Bar levels, but all of them can be overcome by taking the high road. The final section with the genies took me a few tries to get through, but we can jump on all of them. Also, apparently there was a secret cubby down here with Chris DP written backwards in Wumpa Fruit. Could this be the signature of programmer Chris Pruitt from Vicarious Visions, aka the Colorblind Programmer? With all 3 color gems in our possession, we can take on the final boss, Dr. Nefarious Tropy. This battle has been a long time coming. First, he tried to give us a useless superpower, so we rerouted the game to avoid him. Then he made himself spin-proof, so we broke the game in half to bypass him. Then he said, fine, then I'll give you a spin-based power-up that's required for our boss fight, so you can't even get to me. So we broke the game in half again. But I'm done running from him. If we have to face Entropy in a long 9-hit battle with no checkpoints and an unhealthy amount of RNG in Phase 3, then so be it. With Entropy succumbing to his own prophecy and Uka Uka teasing a sequel that never arrived, the Kurasshu Bandikū N-Tranced spinless run is officially vanquished. But we're still not done yet, because we've got some time trials to do. You might think we can just get the Sapphire Relic and call it a day, but remember, this is a max percent run, and max percent means max percent. In N-Tranced, the completion percentage is divided into units, with each unit being worth 1 divided by 76, or about 1.32%. Crystals, bosses, gems, and gem shards are worth 1 unit each, but the Sapphire, Gold, and Platinum relics are worth 1/4, 3/8, and 1/2 of a unit respectively. If we want the highest possible percentage, we have to speedrun each level perfectly. The only level I didn't manage to get Platinum on was Rock the Kasaba, as I couldn't get a clean enough run with only 1 mask to work with. I was only able to get the Gold by damage boosting through the Scorpion on the final monkey bars. Not to say that the Platinum is impossible, Tet was actually able to do it himself during the making of this video, but he's much better at video games than I am. Even without that 1 Platinum relic though, we still managed to get a completion percentage of 101%, which is the highest percentage the game will allow. If you'd like to watch the run, you can check out the livestream archives in the description. And I've also left a link to Tet's Rock the Kasaba run down there too. This is, unfortunately, the final Kurasshu Bandikū spinless run, at least until they release Crash 5. But that doesn't mean I'm completely done with this series yet. Be sure to subscribe and ring the bell so you don't miss the next challenge run. That's all for now, and I will see you down under.